Hey everyone, welcome back to the discussion. Today we're diving into a fascinating paper about keeping large language models, LLMs, safe, even when anyone can access their inner workings. The title says it all: Tamper-Resistant Safeguards for Open-Weight LLMs. So what exactly does open weight mean in this context, and why is it a problem?
Open weight simply means the LLM's internal parameters. Its weights are publicly available. This is great for research and collaboration, but it also creates a huge security vulnerability. Imagine someone downloading the model and tweaking its internal settings to make it do something harmful. That's the challenge this paper addresses.
So someone could just download the model and change its code. How can you possibly make it tamper-proof? Seems like a losing battle.
That's what makes this research so interesting. Previous methods tried to build safeguards into LLMs, like making them refuse harmful requests. But these safeguards were easily bypassed with a little fine-tuning, essentially a few adjustments to the model's weights. This paper introduces a new approach called TAR, which aims to make these safeguards much more robust.
Okay, so tar. What's the secret sauce? Is it some kind of encryption or obfuscation technique?
Not exactly. TAR uses a clever combination of adversarial training and meta-learning. Think of it like this. They train the model against attacks that try to remove the safeguards. By repeatedly exposing the model to these attacks and forcing it to resist, they make it much harder to tamper with.
Adversarial training, so they're essentially trying to break their own model to make it stronger.
Precisely. It's a kind of attack and defend strategy. They create a set of simulated attacks, different ways someone might try to modify the model, and use these attacks during training to make the safeguards more resilient.
That's a pretty clever approach. But how do they measure success? How do they know if tar actually works?
They use a rigorous red teaming process. They test the protected model against a wide variety of attacks, some seen during training and many unseen. They measure how well the safeguards hold up against these attacks, while also checking that the model still performs its intended tasks.
And the results? Did tar pass the test?
Yes, remarkably so. Their experiments showed that tar significantly improved tamper resistance compared to previous methods. The safeguards held up even after thousands of fine-tuning steps by adversaries.
Thousands of steps? That's impressive. So it's not foolproof, but it's a significant step forward. What are the limitations?
Well, it's still focused primarily on supervised fine-tuning attacks. There are other ways someone could try to tamper with an open-weight LLM. Also, scaling TAR to even larger models is computationally expensive.
So it's not a silver bullet, but a powerful tool. What are the broader implications of this research?
It shows that building tamper-resistant safeguards for open-weight LLMs is a tractable problem. This is crucial for the future of AI safety and security. It allows for more open collaboration while mitigating some of the risks associated with powerful models.
It sounds like a significant contribution to the field. What kind of safeguards did they focus on specifically?
They looked at two main types: restricting access to harmful knowledge, like instructions on building weapons, and making the model refuse harmful requests. They showed that TAR could improve the robustness of both.
So it's not just about preventing malicious use, but also about maintaining the model's usefulness for legitimate purposes.
Exactly. They carefully balanced tamper resistance with preserving the model's overall capabilities. It's a delicate balance.
This is fascinating. It seems like this research opens up a whole new area of exploration in AI safety. What are some of the next steps?
Definitely. Future work could focus on expanding the range of attacks considered, developing more efficient training methods, and exploring other types of safeguards. It's an ongoing process.
And what about the legal implications? Does this research have any bearing on the legal responsibilities of AI developers?
The paper touches on this. Current laws hold developers responsible for taking reasonable precautions to prevent foreseeable harm. Making models more tamper resistant helps meet this responsibility.
So this research isn't just about technical innovation, but also about responsible AI development. It's a really important contribution. Thanks for breaking it down for us.
My pleasure. It's a complex issue, but this research offers a promising path forward.
One thing I found interesting was the two-stage approach of TAR. First, they implement an initial safeguard, and then they use adversarial training to make it more robust. Why is that two-stage approach important?
The initial safeguard provides a foundation. It's not necessarily tamper-resistant on its own, but it gives the adversarial training a starting point. It's like building a strong base before adding more layers of protection.
And the choice of the tamper resistance loss function seems crucial. They experimented with different loss functions and found that maximizing entropy was particularly effective for certain types of safeguards. Why is that?
Maximizing entropy makes it harder for the adversary to reduce the model's safety metric. It's like creating a more chaotic landscape for the adversary to navigate. It's not about simply increasing the adversary's loss at the beginning, but about keeping it high throughout the entire fine-tuning process.
The paper mentions the use of a straight-through estimator in their meta-learning approach. Can you explain what that is and why it's necessary?
The straight-through estimator is a technique used to approximate gradients through non-differentiable functions. In this case, the attack itself might not be differentiable, so they use this estimator to allow backpropagation and optimize the model's parameters.
The red teaming process seems incredibly important. They tested against 28 different adversaries with varying levels of sophistication and resources. Why is such extensive testing necessary?
Because real-world adversaries are creative and resourceful. Testing against a diverse range of attacks helps ensure that the safeguards are robust against a wide variety of threats. It's not enough to just test against the attacks you anticipate. You need to test against attacks you haven't even thought of yet.
The paper also highlights the importance of preserving the model's benign capabilities. They used metrics like MMLU to measure the model's performance on non-hazardous tasks. Why is this so important?
Because a tamper-resistant model that's completely useless is not a useful solution. The goal is to make the model safe without sacrificing its functionality for legitimate purposes. It's a trade-off, but the paper shows that a good balance is achievable.
Finally, the paper mentions the limitations of tamper resistance as a sole solution. It's not a silver bullet, and even the most robust safeguards can eventually be broken. What are the implications of this?
It means that tamper resistance should be seen as one part of a broader strategy for AI safety. It's a valuable tool, but it's not a complete solution. Other approaches, like better alignment techniques and improved monitoring systems, are also needed.
This has been a really insightful discussion. Thank you for explaining this complex topic so clearly.